and welcome to Noble Character Crafts. My name is Amy and I am coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Saturday, February 13th, 2021. This is a channel all about my crafty life, and today I have knitting and some sewing to share with you all. You can find me online on Instagram and Etsy at Noble Character Crafts. And you can get in contact with me through my email at noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com. I will have links to the places that you can find me in the description box below, as well as the show notes for this episode. I am currently hosting a year-long make-along on Instagram called the Make 9 2021 Mal, and that is for you to join in the Make 9 challenge, where you choose 9 projects that you would like to make in the year 2021. Post a grid of those 9 projects to Instagram, and then anytime that you share a post with progress on one of those projects or one of your finished objects from your grid, you can include the hashtag Make92021Mal, and that will enter you to win a prize, which I will be drawing periodically throughout the year. And I did go ahead and pull a prize for this episode from all of the gorgeous, wonderful gifts that I was sent by one of the podcast viewers, Joy. If you watched the last episode, I shared the huge box of goodies that she had sent our way so that I can give them all to you all throughout the year for this make-along. So the prize that I pulled for today is a skein of a Homespun house yarn. And this is from the Harry Potter October 2018 club, and it is called Mandragora. Thank you to everyone who helped me out with understanding what Progress Keeper would go with this. And so many of you were very gracious to me as I struggled through trying to figure out what all of these little Progress Keepers were. And anyway, you all seemed to think that was entertaining in a way, so that's good. The Progress Keeper that is from Sucre Miniatures and goes along with this skein of yarn is this cute little, what I called a Cabbage Patch Kid. And I guess this is I don't know. It goes along with this yarn. Again, this is called Mandragora. It is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 400 meters, 437 yards, 100 grams, and it has some gorgeous greens and purples and various colors in there. Absolutely beautiful. And I'm also going to be sending along one of these notebooks that Joy also sent. So this is just a plain notebook from Ox and Pine Leather Goods Company, and it's just a plain lined notebook, so that could be useful if you keep a knitting journal or any other kind of journaling or note-taking. I thought that would be a nice little extra gift to send along. And the winner of this prize is Barb, who is known as Marshkin on Instagram. So congratulations, Barb. If you could please get in contact with me through my email or on Instagram and let me know your full name and mailing address, I will be so happy to get that off in the mail to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much to everyone who has been participating in the Make 9 2021 Mal. There has been so much participation this year. It's been so exciting to see so many people entering into this make-along and to see all of the different projects that you're hoping to make and are already working on. It's been really fun to see all of the projects that you all are interested in making this year. So again, that make-along does include any craft that you would like to include. So if you are into many different crafts, that is certainly okay. It's encouraged for you to enter any craft that you would like to do. It does not have to be only knitting or crocheting. It can be various crafts. And also whips are allowed for this make-along as well. So if you have some outstanding works in progress that you would like to finish up this year, those are more than, it's definitely okay to include those. You are not required to finish anything for this make-along. It's just a participatory make-along, so please continue to enter if you would be interested in doing so. I have a few finished objects to share with you all. Last time I recorded, I was working on this cute little red hat for my youngest son. This is the Urucum Hat, which is a free pattern by SambaKnits. And last time I showed this, I told you it was not going to take me long to finish it up, and I pretty sure I finished it up the same day that I recorded the last episode. So this has already gotten a lot of wear from my son. He put it on right away. I never blocked it or anything. He just took it. So it's been blocked by being worn out in the snow on his head. So anyway, it fits him really well and he loves it. He's a huge fan of the color red, and so he was very happy to have this. I used Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted weight, which is going to be featured a few times in this episode. I'm using a lot of this type of yarn right now. This is in the red colorway. I modified the pattern a little bit. So the pattern comes in 3 adult sizes, small, medium, and large. My son is 7 years old, and so he needed a bit of a smaller sized hat. So I just scaled it down by 1 more size. So I cast on 8 less stitches than the smallest size. So I cast on 72 stitches instead of 80, which the smallest size calls for. And then I just knit it. It's just a 1x1 twisted ribbing for a couple of inches. And then it's just knit in stockinette, as you can plainly see. And I just knit it until it measured 7 inches before I started doing the decreasing. I've made this hat several times now and I really enjoy. It's obviously a very simple, easy hat to make. It works up very quickly. I used US 6 4mm needles for the ribbing, and then a US 8 5mm for the remainder of the hat. So it took less than 50 grams. 45 grams or something like that, I think it took. So nice and simple, and it is getting a lot of use already. So that's great. This is 100% Peruvian Highland wool, and so it's been keeping him nice and toasty outside as we have been having sub-zero temperatures, and it's only going to get colder in the next few days around here. So this is getting a lot of use lately. My next finished object is these beautiful socks that I was able to finish. This is another item off of my Make 9 2021 list. So I'm super excited to have another item. This is the 3rd item that I've been able to finish off of my personal Make 9 2020 list. These are the Battle for Hogwarts socks, which is a beautiful pattern by Kay Litton of Crazy Sock Lady Designs. And as you can see, I knit them in black yarn. So these are a very practical knit because I really just wanted a pair of hand knit black socks to be able to wear so that when I need to have black socks for an outfit, I can still wear hand knit socks because they're my favorite. So I know you can't see it very well. This is my own hand dyed yarn, and this was a reject skein because when I used to dye and sell my yarn, but this one was over dyed. I forget what I had originally tried to do, but I do know that underneath this black is a really deep green color that continues to bleed whenever I wash the yarn. I've washed this yarn so many times, and it still continues to bleed green dye when I try to wash it. So I had set this aside with the intent of making them into socks one day, and I've held on to it for a few years, and finally I've gotten around to making these black socks for myself. But if you look really closely, you can see a bit of green that still peeks through. But from far away, it's not noticeable, and nobody's going to be looking that closely at my socks that it's going to matter. But I did really I love making textured or patterned socks, and so I really wanted to make this pattern, and it is just a beautiful design. I'll take it off the blocker so that you can see the beautiful pattern that runs down the front a little bit more clearly, hopefully. Obviously not very clearly since it's on black yarn, but a little bit. So there's some cabling and some special stitches along the 2 sides here, and it just makes a beautiful braided cabled effect. I know it's hard to see, and I knew that it wouldn't show up on black yarn very well, but I just really enjoy making patterned socks. I think that they knit up a little more quickly for me sometimes. I just like the interest that a patterned sock provides. So the cuff is it's not a simple, it's not like a simple 1x1 ribbing. The pattern goes along with the leg of the sock. So it's a bit of a syncopated, I don't know, cuff. So it's not just a 1x1, but it's goes along with the pattern of the leg of the sock. I knit this to pattern. The only modifications I made are I repeated the pattern 2 extra times for the leg of the sock. So my leg is just a little bit longer than the pattern calls for, just because I wanted to try to use up as much of this yarn as possible. I really enjoy having longer socks, and I know I can't use this yarn for anything else because of its bleeding issues. So I wanted to try to use up as much as I could of this yarn. It is a fingering weight 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon yarn. So besides the 2 extra repeats for the leg, the only other modification I made is that I added a slip stitch detail to the ball of the foot, which I've been doing on my socks, I don't know, since maybe for 6 months or so. I would guess I've been adding a slip stitch detail to the ball of my foot because that is where I tend to get a hole most quickly in my socks. And so I'm hoping that that will help me to be able to get a little more wear out of my socks. They're knit from the cuff down, and it has a slip stitch heel flap and gusset and a rounded toe. And I knit the medium size, which is a 64 stitch count, and I used US 1 2.25 millimeter needles. Last time I recorded an episode, I was right here. I knit these 2 at a time, and I was right here at, I just done maybe 1 or 2 repeats of the pattern, and yeah, I hadn't gotten very far. So I was really happy to be able to finish these pretty quickly for black socks. I thought that it was going to be a real struggle to work on these because, black yarn is just more difficult to see. But I really enjoyed working on these so much, which surprised me. I thought it was going to be more of a struggle and I wasn't really going to enjoy the process of making black socks, but I didn't mind it at all, really. I have a really good lamp where I knit, and it lit up my work well enough that I could see just fine. So yeah, I really enjoyed these. And again, the patterning just really helps me, I think, to, work more quickly because I want to get through another pattern repeat. It was an 8-row pattern repeat. And so that just helps me to move along, I guess. So anyway, super, super happy with these. I'm so excited to be able to have a pair of practical black socks in my sock collection now. So very excited about that. And the last finished object I have to share with you all has also already been worn like the hat, because this was another pretty practical knit that I made for myself. This is called the Rosewood Cowl, and it is a beautiful design by Darling Jadore. I'm actually holding it upside down because it doesn't really matter. It's not necessarily a top and a bottom, but it was knit this way I started down here and I knit up this way. And last time I recorded an episode, I had just finished this bright red stripe. So I just had a little bit more to do to finish off this cowl. The main color that I used is a Skye Tweed by Classic Elite Yarns in the color number 1213. So it's just a beautiful black yarn with lots of colorful tweed flecks in it. And then all of the striped sections are knit using wool of the Andes worsted in 23 different colors. So I just have a bunch of wool of the Andes in my stash, and I used up, I think, pretty much, well, not every color. I do have a few other darker colors that really wouldn't have been enough of a contrast to include in this cowl, but almost all of the colors that I have in my stash. So I thought that was a really fun way to use up all those colors, and it was really fun to see the different color combinations. I really love this section right in here. I love these colors together. These rosy and green and gold colors. I think those would be a really fun color work combination maybe. and maybe even this lighter pink too. I am not a huge fan of these bright colors, but really like the yellow, the red, the blue, the bright green, they're a little bit jarring just by themselves, but in amongst the whole cowl, I think it really works. And of course, those tweed flecks have all of those bright colors in them too, so I thought it was nice to pick up those colors. These are all worsted weights of yarn, and they're all, the Skye tweed is 100% lamb's wool, and then again, wool of the Andes is 100% Peruvian Highland wool. I had made a cowl in January that I was hoping to be for myself, and it turned out too small. And so that's why I went on the hunt for a cowl to make. Well, I ended up giving that smaller cowl to my daughter for her birthday last month. And so this cowl, then I wanted to try again to make one for myself, and that's what this is. So I do actually wear it upside down, like I said, but again, of course, it doesn't really matter. But I bound off with I think I just did a really loose regular bind off. Did I write a note about that? I didn't, but I'm pretty sure I just did a loose bind off. But it does kind of have a little bit of a flare to it. So I end up wearing it this way because then it just fits better, because the flaring, the end that's more flared fits around my shoulders. But this turned out just how I wanted it. I really just wanted a really big, cozy cowl that I could throw on under my coat, and it would keep me nice and toasty warm without having to fuss with it too much. And this is just perfect. It's really a nice, cozy, it's so big that it's a nice, cozy fit no matter what. I love how the different colors just kind of peek through and pop out, and it's just a fun little burst of color with all of those fun different colors included in the cowl. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. I've gotten a lot of wear out of it already. I just am wearing it whenever I go outside, and it's perfect. So I'm really happy with it. I used the recommended needle size, which was a US 8 5mm needle, and I really enjoyed making this. So I'm super happy with how it turned out. And I know I'm going to continue to get a ton of wear out of it. So I think that's it. It was in the round and super easy, though. The one stitch that I mentioned last time was a little bit tricky, where you have to purl 3 stitches together. I don't think I've ever done that before in a pattern, and you have to do it quite a bit on this pattern, which was a little bit tricky, but it was only every 6 rows, so it wasn't too terrible. Anyway, I'm super happy with this finished object. Those are all of my finished objects I have to share with you this time. A button came undone. I wanted to share what I am wearing today. This is the Fanfare cardigan, which I knit back in 2019. It is a vintage pattern, and I knit this using my own hand-dyed yarn again on my Humble colorway, and it's on a fingering weight 100% non-superwash merino wool base. And I love this sweater so much. It's one of my favorites for sure. All right, on to my works in progress. My first one is in this bag by Tanny Casey, and on here I have a row counter enamel pin from Twill Print, which is also the same company that made this row counter. And I will link to their shop in the description box below, because I did have a viewer ask about that company. But this is a Progress Keeper row counter as well. And these are both from Twill Print, which I love the products that I've gotten from that company so much. Okay, in here is another project from my personal Make 9 2021 list, and this is the Kimba Shawl by Ambah O'Brien. I have been steadily working away at this project. This is actually a project that I started last year, so this is one of my works in progress that I carried over from last year. Actually, this was on my Make 9 2020 board that I started but never finished. Every morning I am just adding 2 rows to this project, so I'm just slowly but steadily working on this project. But if I stick to my schedule, which I don't see why I shouldn't, I will have this finished in a week. So I'm super excited about that. Last time I recorded, I was right here where this progress keeper is marking. It is kind of caught. This is a progress keeper that I made myself. And so I have started working into this last 4th color, and I'm so excited about that. So I'm really, really excited about how this is turning out. The 4 different colors that I have used are, the top color is a skein of yarn that I received as a gift from Adriana. She had a yarn company called Strings to Stitches, and she sent me She sent me a gift of this skein of yarn, including this skein of yarn, and it is called It's Fall, Y'all. Then the next colorway I used is my own hand-dyed yarn in the Sweetness colorway. So that is right here. I used that twice, but I did have 2 different balls or small skeins of yarn, and they were from 2 different dye lots. And so this is the second skein of Sweetness. And I don't know if it's too noticeable on screen, but they're quite a bit different in the way that they dyed up. But they're separated, in these 2 different sections, so I think it's okay. This beautiful coral color is from a Homespun house, and that's called Whale Belly. And the last color that I am working on right now is also from a Homespun house, and it's called Homestead. These are all fingering weight yarns. The first 2 I used are 75-25 blend, and then the 2 from a Homespun house are 100% non-superwash merino wool. Here is Homestead in the skein, or in a cake, so you can kind of get an idea of that color a little bit better. It's just a beautiful, beautiful mix of some deeper brown, I guess, like a tan brown color, and some purpley, pinky, beautiful specks and things. So I'm loving working with that. And the pattern is really pretty easy. It's not a difficult pattern, and it's very repeatable, so you really get used to the pattern pretty quickly. I started off with US 5 3.75 millimeter needles, and right now I am using US 6 4 millimeter needles. I switched to the larger needles when I finished this top garter section, just so that I could get a little bit of a bigger gauge, hopefully, or a tighter gauge. No, I'm sorry, a looser gauge on the chevron section, since garter stitch is generally generally gives a more loose gauge than more of a pattern or a lacy stitch, I guess. Anyway, so I did modify that from the original pattern, and she does not call for you to change needle sizes, but I did when I started this chevron section. I went up 1 needle size. Anyway, I love how this is coming out. I'm so happy with it, and I'm super excited that I'm nearing the finish line on this. So excited about this one. I've really enjoyed working on it little by little, but the rows are pretty long now, and so 2 rows in the morning is a pretty good chunk of time yet. I haven't timed myself, but I would guess it takes me about an hour to do 2 rows. So it's still, I'm putting a lot of time into it every day still, but day by day I'm working away at it, and it's going really well, so I'm happy with that. My next work in progress is in another bag from Tanny Casey, and it has some cute pins on here from the ladies of Nice and Knit. And in here is the sweater that I'm making for my eldest son, who's 12. This is a project from my second Make 9 list, which is a gift list. So I made a Make 9 grid of all gift knits. And this is one of the projects from that list. I am making the Wyatt sweater which is a design by Michele Wang, though I'm making quite a few modifications to it. It's knit from the bottom up in the round. Last time I recorded, I had knit a lot of the body. I was right here where this kitty progress keeper is marking. I don't remember who gifted me that, but I think I received that in a swap one time, and I think it's so cute. Anyway, I had worked up quite a bit of that body of the sweater. That is one of the modifications that I am making. I am not including the texture in this pattern. So in the original pattern, this has a lot of texture in the body and the sleeves, and I'm omitting that texture and I'm just knitting stockinette. Again, I'm using Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted, and this beautiful colorway is called Lava Heather. I love it so much. So I finished the body section before you put it on hold, and then I also knit the sleeves. I knit them 2 at a time, and those went really well, pretty quick actually. You know, it is worsted weight, so it works up pretty quickly, and since I'm just doing stockinette, it's completely mindless. The needles I'm using are US 6 4mm for the ribbing, and is that right, or is it 7s? No, 6, that's right. And then for the main body, I'm using US 8 5mm needles. So I knit the sleeves, and then I attached everything together, and I am now working up into the yoke section. So I had just finished the body, was working on the sleeves, and my son is, I should mention, my son is 12. I am knitting the biggest size that is provided in the pattern, which is only a size 10. But I have made this sweater, this is the 3rd time I've made this sweater, and the last time that I made this sweater, I made the size 10 for one of my other sons, and it turned out huge, and he is now able to wear it even though he is 11 years old. And my 12-year-old son is also able to wear that same sweater because my 2 oldest boys are about the same size. So anyway, I'm making the largest size using the same needles that I used last time, which means I'm probably getting a bit of a looser gauge than what the pattern calls for. I think maybe the stockinette stitch contributes to that looser gauge a bit, but I'm pretty sure it's going to fit him well. Anyway, I had finished the body, was working on the sleeves, and my son asked if I could make this into a cardigan. He said, well, I really want it to button all the way down the front. I was like, you do? Oh, well, I didn't know that. Okay. But I think I will be able to. So I was supposed to have bound off 6 stitches right here in the front to make the neck placket. Let me see if I can find a picture. Oh, I don't even have the pattern with me. It's on my bed over here. Hang on a second. Let's see if I can find a picture. Well, I think I can show you the schematic picture maybe, just because I think that'll be a little easier to see it. This is a paid for pattern, but I think you can see the schematic picture. That's no big deal, right? Okay, so it's supposed to have, this section is supposed to, you know, you're supposed to bind off 6 stitches right here and then work back and forth. Instead of working in the round, you're supposed to work back and forth. But instead of doing that, I just kept the stitches on the needles. Oops, things dropped. And I am planning to steek this project. So I am just going to continue knitting in the round, and then I am going to do the neck shaping. So you can kind of see that the neck goes down in the front there. So I will bind off some stitches once I get to the neck section. But otherwise, I'm just going to continue working in the round, and then I will, I've steeked garments before, so I will use my sewing machine probably to just sew 2 lines down each side of here, and then I will just cut this open, and then I will pick up stitches and knit a ribbing along, you know, button plackets along both sides. So that's the plan. hopefully that will go well. I'm excited. I like a challenge with my knitting, so that's no problem. And anyway, it's coming along really well, and I don't think it will take me too much longer to finish it up. I am decreasing now, so in the yoked area, so should go pretty quickly now, I think. So we'll see how it comes along. Maybe that will be done next time. We'll see. But I'm enjoying working on that one too. It's, like I said, a super mindless project because of all the stockinette. My next work in progress is in this beautiful bag that I got from Trisha of Joy in the Stitches. I also made this little friendship bracelet pull thing from a kit that I got at Christmas. And I made it in some colors that I thought coordinated with this bag. Trisha and I both put the Bean Cardigan by Melissa LaBarre on our Make 9 boards. Mine's on my gift list, and I think, I don't remember which one of us, maybe I think I said that we should have a little mini knit along together, and so she agreed, and so we both cast this on February 1st. I originally, when I had gone through my Make 9 boards at the beginning of the year, had mentioned that I was planning to make this pattern as a baby gift for just to have on hand for someone down the road. But in the meanwhile, I discovered that I really needed to make a new cardigan for my daughter. A couple of years ago, I had made her a cardigan, a white cardigan. I will try to insert a picture of it here. And I'm pretty sure last year I modified the sleeve length because the sleeves were getting a little bit too short for her, so I lengthened them. But now that cardigan is too small in the chest circumference. So she really needed another cardigan. I like her being able to have just a plain cream colored cardigan that she can wear over her dresses. It's just a really a staple garment for her to have. And so that is what I decided to do, is just to use this pattern to make her a new cream colored cardigan. Oh, I'm in the middle of a row. That's okay though. I am using, again, Knit Picks Wool of the Andes, and this is just the bare yarn. So again, 100% Peruvian Highland wool. I use this yarn a lot, but it does make it really nice because I'm very used to the gauge that I get with this yarn, and so it's not too much of a guessing game. I did gauge swatch for this pattern just to make sure, because it called for a different gauge than what I had gotten anytime recently with this yarn, so I did gauge swatch. I'm using a US 7 4.5 millimeter needle to get gauge, and I am making the largest size. Actually, I'm not getting gauge exactly. My gauge is 0.5 stitches looser than what is called for in the pattern, which means I might get a little bit of a bigger sized cardigan, but that will be fine because my daughter is 10. The largest size is for a 12-year-old, but I really wanted to make sure that she will be able to wear this at least this year and next, at the very least. So I'm hoping that it will turn out, a little bit roomier. I tried it on her when I split for the sleeves, and it seems to be a really nice fit, not too tight, a little room, not huge on her, but just a nice fit. So I'm happy with that. So you can probably tell that this is knit from the top down. It has this beautiful lacy snowflake-like patterning all the way around the yoke. And then the rest of it is just knit in plain stockinette stitch again. So that's great. I do have an issue with my purl stitches being quite a bit looser than my knit stitches. And I know I could change my one needle size. That would be a nice solution maybe. People have done that to solve that problem before. But I don't want to do that. I want to just continue to practice my purling to be a bit tighter, and so that's what I'm focusing on as I work the purl rows. I don't mind purling at all. I'm just looser when I purl. And so I do have an issue with a few rows that are looser than the knit stitches, but I'm continuing to work on that. Anyway, like I said, I have split for the sleeves, and now I'm just knitting until I get to, I think, 12 inches, maybe. Yes, 12 inches in length before I do the bottom band, which I think is a garter band. And then the sleeves are knit pretty simply as well. They're knit straight. I don't think there's any decreasing in the sleeves. So those should go pretty easily as well, I think. So I would imagine that this would work up pretty quickly as well. I haven't been putting a ton of time into this, but you know, it's already gotten past the yoke and onto the main body, so it's going well. My last work in progress is in this cute little project bag from My Creative Frenzy, Little Red Riding Hood themed bag. And in here I have another pair of socks that I am making for my youngest son, the same one that got the red hat. I made him a pair of red socks in January, and he has worn them so much. Pretty much whenever they're clean, then he wears them again. He just wears them as often as he can. And so he's actually really in need of socks, which I will probably have to end up getting him a new package of socks from the store too, just because I can't knit quite that quickly. But I decided to go ahead and make him another pair of hand knit socks. And the yarn that I'm using is Regia 4-ply in the color number 05392. And on the website, it's called basically red white. So Rot Weiss, I believe is how it's pronounced in German. I took German in high school, but that was a really long time ago. But anyway, it is a self-striping red and white yarn. It is fingering weight, 75% virgin wool and 25% polyamide. Here is what it looks like in the skein. Now the white is really not a very pure white. It's like the red dye has made it quite pink. If I compare it to the yarn I'm making with the cardigan, well, you can't quite tell so much on the screen because it's so bright, but in person, oh, you can't really tell, but in person it looks a lot more pink than this, but it's okay. The stripes are really wide. I mean, I am making these pretty small. I cast on 48 stitches. I knit a 2x2 ribbing just until that red ran out, which I think was about 14 rows. And then I'm just doing plain stockinette for the leg. He said he wants them kind of long, so I'm not sure. I might do just, I don't know. I think I measured and he kind of wants them to be about 7 inches long for the leg, so we'll see. But anyway, the stripes I counted, and they're coming up at about 18 rows or rounds per color stripe. So it's a pretty wide stripe, even though, you know, I am only doing 48 stitches, but still it's a pretty wide stripe. I'm using US 1 2.25 millimeter needles again, and all the needles that I use are Chow-Gu, by the way. So anyway, super simple, you know, nice and mindless project again with this one. And I think these will probably work up pretty quickly since they're so little. But I like how they're working up. I haven't decided on the heels yet. I'm not sure if I'll do a contrast heel or not, but I probably won't. I'll probably just continue using this yarn because I do have 100 grams of it and I don't need that much. So I'll probably just continue using that, I'm guessing. We'll see. I'll ask my son what he wants, if he wants a different color, but he loves red so much that I am guessing he won't want another color. I asked him when I made his other pair of red socks if he wanted a different color for the heel, and he said no, he only wanted red. So it was hard for him to accept the fact that these were red and white striped. He really just wanted all red again, but I didn't have any more plain red yarn, sock yarn anyway. I have another skein of Knit Picks Felici that has some red in it that I might make for him next, but again, he's kind of like, well, I guess that'll be okay. But, you know, he really just likes red. I guess he knows what he likes. That's good. Okay, I have a few new things to share with you all. I've treated myself to a few things recently, and I'm excited to share them with you. The first is just a couple of beautiful minis that I snagged from Candy Shop Yarn. I was watching one of Deborah and Emily's podcast. They host the Meanwhile at the Castle podcast, which I love. And Deborah was sharing that she was dyeing some yarn again after having taken a bit of a break from dyeing yarn. And anyway, I popped over to her shop and there wasn't much left at that time, but I did get a couple of these beautiful minis. The pink color is called Sugared Violet. It's kind of a pinky purple color. It's gorgeous. And then the other one is called Sugar Rush. So that's just a beautiful yellow base. And then it has these wonderfully bright speckles in it. These are both, I guess it's not written on here, but I'm pretty sure they're both a 75-25 blend. Fingering weight. Aren't they beautiful? I love them. I'm a huge fan of minis, as you might know if you've watched before, because I love making scrappy blankets primarily. And then this is the third month that I have received a Row 1 subscription. They send out a monthly subscription including 10 different colorways from a dyer on 10-gram minis. And this is the third time I have gotten it, but I've never shared on an episode before because I've always just put my new yarn into my scrappy blanket immediately. And so I haven't had them all packaged up nicely, but I haven't dug into this most recent one I received. And this is from 29 Bridges. And anyway, I thought I would just quickly share the different colorways that I received this month. These are all fingering weight as well. And I'm not sure the blend. I think it's an 80-20 maybe. But I just thought I'd quickly share these beautiful colors. I won't go through all the names, but just to kind of give you an idea of what you get in these fun packages. I love the pinky purples that are included this month as well. Those are my favorites. So that gives you a bit of an idea of what you get with this subscription. Oh, one more. Aren't they gorgeous? Such bright colors this month. I love them. So I thought I would just share those with you. It's just a really fun little package to get in the mail. And I absolutely love getting to put all of these fun colors into my scrappy blankets. And then I also got some beautiful yarn from Willow Tree Yarn. She was having a bit of a sale on her website, and I had seen that on Instagram, and I popped over to her shop and I couldn't resist this beautiful skein of yarn. Isn't that gorgeous? It's the colorway is called Keeper of the Fields. It's on a 75-25 superwash merino nylon blend as well. And I just love the color in this, and the beautiful specks in this skein of yarn as well. And then I also got a mini set, which is in a crinkly package. So sorry about that. But this is her Little Women set. And I'm not sure if she has any more of this in her shop or not, but this was also on sale, and I just love the colors in this so much. So this is on her Classy base, which is an 80-20 blend, and there are 5 20-gram minis in this set. Aren't they gorgeous? I don't have plans for this yarn yet, but they would be gorgeous together. I may very well do that, even though they're different bases, they would still look great together. Her packaging, by the way, is just top notch. It was so well packaged, and it came along with a little progress keeper, which I will show on the next one because I received an extra goodie from Angela. Angela is the dyer behind Willow Tree Yarn. And she sent over this as a gift to give away for the Make 9 2021 Mal. Thank you so much, Angela. That was so kind of you. So this is a beautiful sock set. And here's the cute little progress keeper that I also received one of these, and it kind of goes along with her logo. And this is the colorway Aurora, and it's a 75-25 superwash merino nylon blend, 459 yards to 100 grams for the main skein, and then the mini is a 10 gram. So those colors are so stunning. So this will be a future giveaway prize for the make along. So again, thank you so much, Angela. That was so unexpected and very kind of you to send that over for a prize. I appreciate it so much. Thank you. I have also been sewing some more project bags for my Etsy shop, so I wanted to share those with you all. I'm not sure, again, I always say this, it seems like, I'm not really sure when I'll be putting these in my shop, but I will try to put them in the same day that this video uploads or maybe the following day. So I'll try to time that so that it's either the same day as this video or the following day. But if you want to know exactly when I do a shop update, the best place to follow me is on Instagram, and I always post on there when I update my Etsy shop. I will have 3 different kinds of fabric going into, 3 different types of fabric for project bags for this update. The first is this plaid fabric. So it's got lots of greens and blues, a little bit of red in there. And the inside is a light blue. All of the project bags are the same size. They're all drawstring. They all have an interior pocket. And they also all have this handle on the side. I am thinking about not including this side handle in the future. I would love to hear any feedback from you all, but I find that when I'm using my project bags, I don't use that handle at all. I end up just carrying it by the drawstrings. So let me know if you think that that is really a useful thing to have, if you use it and you would be disappointed if I did not include that anymore. But I'm just thinking about not including that side handle in the future. And yeah, I'd really appreciate any feedback if you have an opinion about that, whether you think it's useful or not. I would appreciate your feedback. But anyway, I will have 6 bags with this fabric. Oh, and the coordinating fabric is this fun, just kind of a medium blue denim fabric. So I thought that was a really fun coordinating fabric to go with this plaid fabric. The next fabric I have is this beautiful wild bird wintry scene, which I love so much. I have mentioned before that me and my family love to watch birds outside, and we see all of these birds outside of our house except for, I think this is an eastern bluebird, and we do not see those, at least in the winter. I think we might have seen one in the summertime, but they're not winter birds by any means. But we do have goldfinches, cardinals, and chickadees. The goldfinches are not that bright in the winter though, but that's okay. Anyway, I just love this fabric so much. The inside fabric is a really light gray with little white polka dots on it, which I think really looks like snowfall. So I thought it coordinated with this fabric nicely. And then the base fabric is a dark charcoal duck cloth. And the last one is similar, but it doesn't have any birds on it. This is some birch trees, and I thought that that was a really beautiful fabric as well. So it's just got the trees on it. Same base or bottom coordinating cloth as the bird one. The interior fabric for this is a light gray with some little leaves on it. I'm sorry, I will have 6 of the bird bags, and I will have 7 of these birch tree bags. So again, those will all be going in my shop soon. If you're watching this when this comes out, it should be either today or tomorrow. But again, follow me on Instagram if you'd like to get a better, more timely notification of when I update my Etsy shop. And again, thank you so much. If you have purchased a bag from me in the past, or if you're interested in any of these bags that I've shown off, I appreciate that so very much. I think that is all I have to share with you all. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you really enjoyed this episode. If you did, please feel free to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. I would appreciate that so much. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a great couple of weeks ahead. Take care. Bye-bye.